Hello. Hold on, I can't hear me. Hello? Can you hear?
Hello, everyone. You there, Yanni Love?
I'm here. Hi,
We got
everybody.
Fairy Floss, Patty Ponytail, Cher.
I
Somebody
can't
else.
see. I can't see the chat.
Nikki.
How do I see the chat?
I don't know. Are you on your phone?
You know what?
I don't know how.
I can open my tablet and then I
There
can
you
see.
go.
Yeah,
Just make sure you mute your tablet, though.
Yeah, because I just turned off my TV and everything. So hold on, I'm going to get it on my tablet and then I can read the comments. Sorry,
Okay,
give me
everyone,
one.
this is going to be a very emotional, hard conversation. Mods, no bullshit. Just no. If people coming here trolling us shit, we're not about that tonight. Block them instantly. I'll go through and look and unblock them later if they deserve it. If they come in here bullshit, block them straight up. No ifs, ands, or buts. Fuck them. We're not here for that tonight.
Yeah.
We're here for Yanni and Yeah, and Yanni's my girl, and we got a lot of love here, a lot of sister love, and hi, Midnight Moons.
Hold on, I can't find cotton candy. You should be in my always viewing, you know what I mean? You should be in that because I always view you, but I can't find it. Give me 1 second.
You're good,
I'll
love.
just, God damn it.
Take
This
your
would
time. You
happen.
know, we're always late and stuff around here, and not we ain't got it together. Look at Sharon; she's out getting dinner.
It did
That's how
happen,
we
yeah.
grow. I love it.
And it's showing
Mine's
me
still on
people
its
that I
way.
don't even follow, and I'm like, why? Why?
I hate
Just
that.
why?
It does me too, especially since I started following Trump stuff more. I've got all this political shit that I don't even want to hear about. Like,
Oh,
no.
yeah, Trump. I don't even know what happened to him, but I don't like the other one either. I don't like politics because, you know, it's something to do with my people, and I kind of
Yeah,
keep away from that because
I
they,
understand that. I used to not
yeah,
care until I started seeing that it
the
mattered. In
injustices.
today in
Yeah.
America, it matters. It's different than it was 20 years ago here.
I've got share. Oh, here you are. Found you. You're right near share, which would make sense. So here we are live. Okay, now I can see the comments. Right near share. Oh, sorry. There you
Oh,
go.
you're fine.
Okay, got it. Good. Okay, so do we start or wait for share?
Start. No, Cher's going to be a few minutes. We can go ahead and start. She's going to jump on as soon as she's done. About 10 minutes, she
Okay.
will. So you can start wherever you want, however you want. Take
Well,
your
I'm gonna.
time.
You know what? I think we should just start at the beginning because then, I'm not going to go on and on about the beginning. I'm just going to explain how I ended up here, what happened, and move on then with the story that happened when I got here. So I was born in a hospital in Buffalo with two Native parents. My mum was a serious, serious drug addict. My dad was an alcoholic. I was born addicted to drugs. So social welfare stepped in and took me away from my parents. And they put me in a foster home. From what I believe, I was really young, so I don't really remember that. But around 1.5, I met this woman, and oh no, my grandma got me back for a little while, and then they took me off my grandmother. Okay, and they put me in the care of this woman, and I was almost 2. I was like 1.5, 2, going on 2. And so I was with her for about a week, and then I went back to my grandmother's again. This woman was so evil, I picked it up immediately. Like, you know how you just know? I could feel it. And even with the what do you call it, hypnotherapy, the parts of me being a baby are where I really freak out. Because what they do is they regress you in time and they take you back to when you were a baby. And apparently, whatever happened when I was a baby was so traumatic that they weren't able to push forward with the hypnotherapy once
Oh,
they got
wow.
it. Apparently, my I was freaking out, screaming, and they had to pull me out, and they decided not to go further than 2.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, because I don't know what happened as a baby, and I guess I shouldn't. I really don't want to know now. So next thing, I'm back with, they smashed my grandmother's door in on a reservation, and they take me. By then, I kind of spoke my own language, which was Onondaga Seneca Nation in New York. That's where my people are from. So I already like spoke my native tongue. I didn't even speak American. I spoke native, and so they came in, took me, and the next thing I was about to, and they gave me back to her. This time she showed me that I'm adopted, and she put me on. Then we went on a plane, and I ended up here in Australia. When I met my adoptive father, I thought things were going to get better. Even though I was so little, he was so good to me. Like, I mean, he'd play with me and, you know, teach me things. And I thought, well, maybe it's not going to be that bad. Anyway, so
He was
maybe
your little bit of hope.
he was, and he was so good to me that I thought, well, I can handle her horrible ways if I've got him.
Right.
But he was, one morning we were all sleeping, and the police showed up, and it was big, dramatic. I since know why. Back then I didn't know why they were taking my dad away. I didn't understand the lifestyle that he was living. I didn't know because I'm only a baby. So they're taking my dad away now, and now I'm left with her. And let's just say things got much worse very quickly. Um, First thing I remember that was painful, and this is through hypnotherapy and listening to myself talk. Now, I don't know if anyone knows what hypnotherapy is unless you've gone through it. So, what they do is they start you from the age that I escaped, and they bring you right down to usually till you're a baby, but they stopped it too for some reason with me. I don't know why. Anyway, so those hypnotherapy sessions filled in all the parts that I didn't remember or I blocked out. I don't know. I think I blocked them out. You know how they say abuse people, they block stuff out. I think
Yeah.
that's what I did. But so her dad, they told me her dad was a doctor. Um, so her dad would do these forced examinations on me, and that went on for about 6 months, about once or twice a week, where he
Oh
would,
wow.
yeah, abuse a baby. And he was preparing me for what was to come. And not you don't know any of that when it's happening. All you know is this hurts a lot, and you're screaming, and they're telling you he's a doctor, and if you don't do this, you're going to die. So you sort of tolerate it, thinking you're going to die if you don't. So anyway, he done those forced examinations till I was about 2.5, and then I was like nearly close to my birthday, because how I remember it is she used to remind me it was my birthday just to be cruel. So she'd say,
Wow.
"It's yeah." She'd say, "It's your birthday today, and nobody cares." And
Wow.
yeah, and that would, like, you're a kid, and a birthday is big. You think.
Right. That's like Christmas. Birthdays and Christmas. You.
I had no birthdays at all. I was reminded it was my birthday every year,
Mm,
but I never had birthday celebrations, not ever.
I'm
And
so sorry, love.
that was pretty hard for me as a kid, not understanding why, you know, I'm in this position, and I'm so little, and I don't understand, and I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm a little kid, and every time I'd speak a word that was native, I would get beat down bad because I was
And that
not
was who
allowed
you
to.
were.
Yeah, and I would say my native words, because I didn't completely understand everything in English because I was taught my language. So every time I
Right.
did that, she would beat the hell out of me or whatever. So I'm guessing it was close to my third birthday the first time she sent me out. Okay. She gave me this drink and she's like, drink, and she was really insistent. She was acting weird all, she was acting weird all day that day. There was just something different. You know what I mean? There was just something
You could tell
different about,
something was up.
something was up, and I didn't know what was up, but something was up. And then she was giving me this drink, and I said, no, it tastes horrible. And she said, drink it, and she kind of forced me to drink it. Little did I know it had drugs in it, and that
Oh my God.
that I was being drugged, ready to be sent on my the first
Mm.
insert. So I ended up drinking the drink because I was scared she was going to beat me up. So I drank it. I woke up and I was sort of half semi awake and like unconscious but awake. And there was two men, one on each side of me. And I was all dressed up and I had like white ribbons and like dolly. I looked like a doll. Do you know what I mean? That's how she dressed me up. I don't remember getting those clothes on or any of that. I was drugged through that whole thing. So I wake up
Sick
and
bitch.
I'm kind of like half awake, but I know what's going on in the room, and I'm seeing these men, and I know they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing. All I know is this is not okay. Like, I'm not even 3 years old, but in my mind, I'm like, this is not okay. You know, this is bad. And I don't know why I didn't feel any of the pain. Maybe, like we discussed, it could have been the drugs that numbed that
It
part
probably
of it.
blocked it all out.
And I was only 3, so I was just a little girl. Well, I wasn't even 3 because it was about a month or a few weeks before she reminded me that it was my third birthday. That's how I know what ages I was, because she cruelly reminded me every year that it was my birthday. So 3, and then I started going 3 times a week, sometimes 4, and going to these huge mansion parties, like orgy parties. This When I first went, there was only 2 other kids in the van with me. Now there's 10 and 11 kids. I counted 11 when on one. I think I started being able to count them about 5. I didn't really get an education. I went to school for a minute. They noticed the marks on my body. She took me out of school and said she's homeschooling, which didn't happen. But
Oh my
I'd
goodness.
I'd go to these big mansion parties where all these rich, wealthy men were. And what I noticed was they all had the Freemason signs on and
Oh
rings,
no.
and yeah, and they had the pin. Now, at that age, I don't know what that means, but when the police got me years later, I drew that symbol. And
And that's a
they,
symbol that you remember too, because my grandfather was a Freemason, and I remember that G symbol. It's very
yeah,
distinct. And
yeah. And in the and triangles, the
yeah,
upside down.
around the G.
Yeah, I remember those. I didn't remember, but when I got to about 10, I realized that it was like geometry set. But when I was little, all I seen it as a V on top of another V upside down. That's all when I first drew it. But I did realize that it would look like what do you call those? You know what I'm talking about. it wasn't just V, it was an actual instrument that you use in mathematics or degrees, what do you call it? I can't
I know what
remember.
you're talking about.
Know what I mean? Yeah. So
It's like a ruler and stuff, and
yeah, because it's like, because when you're in Freemasons, you go by degrees, and once you get to 33 degree, that's when you turn Satanist. You have to. That's what they
that's what
do.
I've heard. See, my grandfather wasn't that high up, and he was an awesome man, and he'd never, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
now that I'm older, I've looked into it more, and that is true. Once you get to the top tier, it's like evil. You sell your soul to the devil.
And then you have to denounce Jesus and Christianity, and then you have to choose. Um, there's the Golden Dawn, which is Aleister Crowley, and then there's the Church of Satan, that is Anton LaVey, and then there's the OTO, and they kind of have to choose a chapter of usually OTO or um, the Golden Dawn, which was Aleister Crowley's following, that still
I've
exists.
actually looked into him some. He's interesting.
He's a very interesting man.
I wanted to
So
cover him, but I don't want to get into that. You know what I mean? It's deep.
a lot of people, yeah, because a lot of celebrities are right into Aleister Crowley at the moment. A lot of them.
Is that
The
the
big
Cher? Did you interview him or not interview him, but played his? Was
What?
it Alistair?
Aleister
Yanni
Crowley.
I don't remember.
No, who was the guy that was a Freemason that you?
Oh,
Remember we went over his.
Yeah, totally different person. That's
Oh, okay.
Atlan Stroud
Yeah,
from Australia.
Atlin and Alistair, kind of same names.
Alistair, okay.
Alistair has books out. One of his really popular books is The Most Evil Man on Earth. And
Oh,
if
wow.
you read that, and I've read it, he talks about tricking young boys into sexual exploitation.
Oh, wow.
So they're not very nice people. Anton LaVey is the Church of Satan, and even though they're bad, and I've seen bad stuff, then they're not as evil as the others. They're a little bit more low key, even though they're bad still. I mean, as an adult, I snuck into satanic temples, and I'd done some really crazy stuff when I got out because I wanted to try to understand them, but
Yeah.
and so yeah, I'm noticing all these friggin' symbols on they either wear a pin or the ones that are high up have a ring. So I'm noticing this ring, and this went on till I was about 5, and these parties were so horrible. You have no idea, and the screaming of the boys is something that
Oh, my God.
um
So there was more than just you being a kid there. There was more.
and I said to myself today, I'm not going to cry, because when I talk about this part of it, this is what really messes me up. And the boys, I've got 3 boys, I'm a mother of 3 boys, so it makes it kind of personal. But I used to hear the boys screaming and screaming so loud that I hear it in my sleep at night. Every night I hear them screaming. And that
I'm so
part of it,
sorry.
that part of it, that part of it just took something out of me that I don't know. It's just something that is personal for me. I don't know. I mean,
It's like
don't
it
get
was
me.
different when it was you, but whenever you heard it happening to other people,
That was
you're an
weird.
empath, and you felt it. And
Yeah. For me, I was like, let them hurt me and leave them alone. Like I wanted to take all of their pain, and even at a young age, I wanted to do that. Like I could feel that inside myself, like going, especially those boys, the way they screamed is something you'll never forget for the rest of your life. It's something
Couldn't
that's
imagine.
you'll never forget. I'll never.
Can I just interrupt with a quick trigger warning, everybody? This is heavy stuff Yanni's talking about, okay? So,
I tried to plaster it everywhere. I forget.
yeah. No, sorry to interrupt. I just want to make sure because we don't want any of the haters going back and trying to report. This has been known and set. This is adult conversations for adult people. And if you can't handle that, this is not the show for you tonight. Okay, thank you. Sorry,
Thank you,
Yanni.
sis. No,
No,
you're
no,
good.
that's
We love you.
right. I did put a trigger warning up on my page as well, because a lot
I've
of
got it everywhere I can.
the survivors can't handle this stuff, and I get it. I get it. But I mean, this was 11 years of my life, so um, it's a lot, and there's a lot of things that still haunt me to this day. Like I saw people unalive. I saw people, I saw kids just in garbage bags, like they're going to be thrown out like garbage bags. So, in garbage bags and buried. So, I mean, it's not something for the light-hearted to handle this, because this is really, really bad. And this is part of my life that went on for 11 years before I got away. But, I do want to say it for what it is, and it's sexual assault. And this month is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So I feel like this is the perfect time to do this, because in our community, the true crime community, there's so many survivors. And I know you're a survivor, Cher, as well. So, there's a lot of us. But so
I want everyone to know this is a safe place for this. And people hate on our little community, our little sisterhood and stuff, but I tell you what, we're real. We're there for each other. We're what sisterhood is about. And if anyone out there listening, if you need to talk to anybody, I promise you're safe with us. And if you ever want to tell your story or anything, you're safe here. You're safe with Cher. You're safe with Yanni. Yanni's doing amazing things on her channel, and she's so fucking brave, and I'm so proud of her.
The reason why I decided to talk is because a lot of others can't do it. And I get it. I understand. I get it, yeah. And you got to remember, so let's just move on. And this part's going to get really, really bad. So the trigger warnings need to be extra right now, because I went to
I might have a overlay I can put up of it.
Because I went to
it's going to block our faces, but
okay.
Well, I see it streaming on there. I didn't see that at first, sis. It's streaming on. I think that's good. Yeah. And then just if the mods, yeah, I can't get to the chat. So there's mods in the chat. Oh, I see that, the Nightbot. Yeah. Just keep posting them in there. And then, yeah, you've given the verbal too. No, I think you're good to go. You don't have to cover her beautiful face.
Yeah, I didn't want to, but I don't want us to get in trouble. People hate to share.
Yeah, you'll be all good. You'll be all good.
World.
It's good. It's plastered everywhere.
Move on. So these are the parties I attended for 5 years of my life. About 3 to 4 times a week, we were taken in vans and we were dropped off to these houses with, I'd say, elite rich people. That's because these were mansions, and there were police at these parties, and obviously they knew what was going on, and they were paid.
A lot of police are dirty like that. I've heard.
For sure. My mom
Yeah.
was sleeping with cops too, so that tells you just
Wow.
how dirty they can be. Yep.
You know,
That's why I
the
don't
woman,
trust the
the,
law enforcement and stuff.
the woman that adopted me illegal, when my dad went to jail, a detective sergeant moved in. That's why I know she set him up to go to jail
Oh,
at
wow.
time, because as soon as he was gone, there was a detective living in our house. Now, obviously, he knew what she was doing and he was fine with it.
Wow.
So, okay, so we went to these parties, and like I said, the traumatic part was hearing the others screaming, and this went on for till I was about 5, and then I found that one day that things changed. I got into a van and there was a baby in there. Not a little tiny baby, but a baby that's sitting up. So I'm guessing 6 months, maybe
Oh,
7.
God. Oh,
Okay. So I'm in this van now with only 5 people. I think it was about 5. I know it was less than usual, but there's a baby in here this time. So I'm like all confused. I'm like, what's going on? This is a baby, you know. So, you know, me, I was very nurturing, very young. So I would try to hug the others and try to keep them calm, you know, as much as I could, which was a really hard thing to do. Because they'd usually have been before, so they already knew what was coming. Okay, so trying to keep those kids calm through that drive was pretty hard to do. And now I've got a baby. I'm holding the baby, playing with him, and he was so adorable, this baby. And I think of him every day. I think when I wake up in the morning is when I think of him the most, because I remember when I used to wake up in the morning with my babies, that was really happy times, you know, like,
yeah.
do you know what I mean? That morning was
Yeah.
always really happy for me with my babies. So I think of him most in the morning. So this time we're driving for a really, 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 really long time, like not the same as usual. This time it's like hours, like maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours in this van with baby. So I've formed a friendship and a love with him, you know,
Oh,
and I'm loving him, and I'm just like, what am I going to do? Because he's a baby. I don't want them to,
you knew what
you
was
know.
going to happen.
Yeah, and well, I presumed I knew what was going to happen, but that's not what happened at all. So I'm thinking they're going to abuse this little baby, the way they abused me and the other boys, and that was so scary. Like, I anticipated the whole thing. Every minute was like I just anticipated what was going to happen. I'm like, this is going to be the worst thing I've ever had to see in my life. And I was preparing myself for that as much as I could. So we get out, we get there. This is nearly 2 hours, maybe. I don't know. I was so young, so I'm just guessing it was long. You know, we were in there for a while. We pull up and it's this really dark looking place, and it's like in the middle of nowhere, like country type. And they take us out, and I've got the baby and I'm holding on to him, and I'm a baby myself. And so we walk in and it's really dark, and it's like a church, but not any church that I've ever seen. It was like black and red, had altars. So now you know that this was a satanic temple. I know that now, but back then I didn't know what the hell was going on. I had no idea there was anything like this. So they've taken us to this satanic temple now. And as I come in, they drag the baby out of my arms. And I'm screaming and kicking, and I'm like, please. And I was saying, you can kill me, you can do anything to me, just leave him alone. You know, like, he's a baby. And they were like telling me, shut up. And yeah, they smacked me in
I'm
the
so
mouth.
sorry, love.
They smacked me in the mouth, and I just didn't care. I had more fight in me that day than I had any other time. I fought and fought for that baby because I'm still thinking that they're going to sexually abuse him. That's what I'm thinking in my mind because that's what they usually do. But he was a sacrifice, and I got to see all of that. Because I played up. I played up pretty bad over that. They forced me to drink his blood, and I kept spitting it out, kept pushing it down my throat, and I never cried or fought them again. And I regret that. I wish that I didn't. I just shut up and God. Oh, I didn't fight
I'm so
them.
sorry, love.
I
There's
didn't
nothing you
fight.
could have done.
There's nothing I could have done, but back then I didn't think there's nothing I could have done because I gave up. I kind of gave up after that. I just did what they told me to do. I was just like a puppet. I just did what they told me to do. I didn't fight. I just closed my eyes when we'd go to the satanic places. I wouldn't look. I wouldn't fight them because I knew there was nothing I could do. If I fought them, they would do things to me. And if I didn't fight them, then I'm letting down the other children. So that's a lot of heavy stuff on my shoulders, you know. And at 5 and 6 in these trafficking rings, you're considered an older child. Can you believe that?
Wow.
At 5 and 6, you're considered an older child. And you're responsible, like, to make sure the others are doing what they're told and things like that, which is so hard on any child to know that you're going to go to this place and this is going to happen and there's nothing I can do or anyone can do to change that. And I got to see it so many times that I became immune to it. I didn't react. I just became like a zombie. I didn't cry anymore. I didn't fight them, but the drugs started to wear off. Do you know what I mean? Like the more they drugged me as I got older, the less effect the drug would have on me, because 3 and 4 times a week you're building up an immunity to the drugs.
Right.
So now I'm more awake and I'm watching and I'm watching everything that's going on around me.
And you realize more stuff's not adding up and not right.
And then, at 6 and 7, I started to try to remember things like curtains and wall pictures. And because I thought, if I ever get out of here, I want to remember where they've taken me to. So I tried to start remembering outsides of the houses that they took us to and the places where they kept us. I tried to remember everything so that if I ever did get away, and that I didn't adapt that till I was about 8 or 9 is when I started to really take notice of the houses that they, especially the houses that they were holding us in. They're the houses that I took a lot of notice of. I watched everything as we were driving back there, and I tried to remember, and which was a good thing because
still at 8 years old, man.
8 years old, and other kids
I'm so sorry.
and other little kids, then we'd see some go, and then we'd say, "Oh, have you seen?" Because we gave each other names like white hair, green eyes, blue eyes. We didn't, and we didn't really know how to use names, so we called each other names from how we looked, like black, long hair, blonde. You know what I mean? That we're kids, so we're giving each other kid names, like.
And you don't know any other way. You've never been in society, except for the bad part of it.
So we're like make names for ourselves, but which we weren't allowed to do because they actually had numbers for us, not names. And
Wow.
so yeah, when I'm 8, 9, now I'm the older kid in the thing. So I adapted this way of like comforting the other kids. I'd hug them and kiss them and tell them I loved them because I thought if anything happens to them, at least they've known some sort of love. Do you know what I mean? Like I felt like
they did know that. I bet you they did.
And I told them all the time that I loved them, and I would make it when we were in the rooms and stuff. I would hug them and comfort them, knowing that tomorrow they may be dead, and there's not much I can do about it. But I would try to be the big girl, at 8 years old. Can you imagine? And so
I can imagine.
So, like I said, they'd rotate us around different other children, and then we'd notice, like, that girl, where's that girl? You know what I mean? We'd realise some kids were missing, so we presumed that they were gone. And I know when they just drive out into these, like, foresty places and bury them.
Oh, my God.
We actually seen them once do it. Actually, I've seen it a few times where they put garbage bags into the floor, into the ground, and just threw dirt over it. But how would I ever be able to remember that? Even hypnotherapy would not. You're never going to remember that where that is, and.
Right.
And I know that one girl in particular that was on the news and everything. I know that they put her in a shallow grave somewhere.
Oh my God!
And she's still not found. And the guy that said he did it, he got out of jail, I think, recently. He said he did it, but her body's never been found. And I got to meet that girl. And I know that she told me something completely different than that he did it. So this was an actual national case.
Wow.
Yeah, so she's never been found to this day, and I actually met her. And so yeah, it's hard to explain, but 4 times a week you're being abused by you're being drugged, but now the drugs aren't working as strong. Do you know what I mean? So now I'm really and then she would want me to mow the lawn in her backyard and things like that. So from about 9 to
Can
12.
I interrupt for a minute because I'm having trouble following. I was a few minutes late, and there's a few people texting me. They're watching and texting me and having trouble following also. But I like I said, I came in too late. Yanni, from what I'm hearing,
Yeah.
the story is awful, and holy cow, thank you for sharing it, because like it's a lot. So
People ask me the
I'm
hard.
just wondering, so okay, so you were you were trafficked, is what I'm
Yeah.
hearing.
Yeah.
And but I didn't hear from, how did this happen? Were you put in a foster home? The foster home was trafficking you? I guess I'm lost as to,
Okay. Well, I was
I didn't hear
adopted.
from the beginning, so
Yeah.
yeah, I'm having trouble following what's going on.
Well, what happened was my parents were both addicted to drugs. My dad
Okay.
was an alcoholic. My mum was a drug addict.
Okay.
I was born addicted to drugs, and
Okay.
so CPS or whatever you call them over there, they stepped in and
They
took.
were in immediately, yeah. Yep.
So then I ended up in a few foster homes as a baby, but I don't remember any of that. But
Okay.
by the age of 2, I was illegally adopted by this woman and her
Oh.
husband. Now her husband.
So you were given back just kind of like I was to your biological family, and then your biological family did an illegal adoption, basically to traffic you.
Yeah, well, my grandmother got custody of me, and what happened was I was with her for a while. I don't know how long, I'm guessing about 12 months. I was with my grandmother because I could speak my native language. So I must have learnt that from her, because every time I spoke my native language, I'd get in trouble for that. But then I ended up with this woman who I didn't like. You know, even at 2 and 3, I knew I didn't like this woman. She was a horrible
So
woman. But my adoptive dad was an amazing person. Like, he was kind to
I'm so
me.
confused.
So I thought I'd be fine. Like, I thought, oh, this is okay because I've got him and he's kind, and she's not nice, but I've got my dad. My adoptive dad was always nice and good to me, never hurt me in any way. But I think she set him up to get him arrested because they came in and they took him. And a week later, she moved a detective into my home, into the home I was in. So I think she set him up to get away from him. And I think she was into this stuff way before she even married him. I don't know how that happened, but I think she set him up and he went to jail for a long time. Now I know that my dad has done things. I've spoken to Cotton Candy behind the scenes. Let's put it this way. My dad's done similar stuff to your dad. Okay. I'll talk to you about that privately because I really don't think it matters while I'm telling this story. But my dad was in jail, and I think she set him up because, like I said, she was with a detective sergeant. Within a week, he was living in that house. So I don't know. My guess is she set him up, and he got locked up. They came through the house. He was dragged out by this detective, and then a week later, that detective was in her bed. All right. So, yeah. So this woman was just pure evil. But we found out as we got older that she'd been doing shit like this way before I came along. So I wasn't the first person she ever did any of this to. And so my real family, of course they were freaking out and trying to get me back, but now I'm in another country and they can't get me back. I'm gone. But they tried. And my grandmother, I know she came to Australia. She tried everything, and she just, whatever was happening with them, I was too little to understand any of that. You know what I mean? I don't know How they got me, it was an illegal adoption from what I've been told later in life, but my dad had done things, and him going to jail, he did do things to warrant him being in jail, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Cotton candy, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's just
You don't
something
have
I
to
don't
talk about that.
I don't really want to, I don't really want to talk about my dad. But my dad was in jail till I was 16, I think. So, yeah. I always tell people on my page, always ask me hard questions, because I'm not afraid to answer hard questions. I can answer them. I mean, I'm trying to fit this in so it doesn't drag on for hours and hours. This was 11 years of my life. And the worst
You're cutting out, love.
things that happen. Am I?
Yeah, a
Hello?
little bit. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah. So the worst things that happen are the things that I'm talking about. But like I said, for me to tell this story, it was 11 years of my life. So if I had to talk about every incident, we'd be here for hours and hours. And, to tell you the truth, from the ages of 3 onwards, the same thing happened 3 times a week. We'd go to these houses with these men, and
You're cutting out again, love. You're
the
robotic.
same thing would happen. We would be abused, and there's the temper. Hello? I don't know why. I charged my phone. So, like I was saying, is that better?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Like I was saying, these things just continually happened, and the satanic stuff happened less, but I got older and understood that that's what it was, As a little kid, you don't know what's going on there. You don't know about, why they do that stuff. You learn all that later on. When you get out, that's when the police kind of explain things to me. And I was 14 by the time I got away. So she was making me like a slave in the house as well. Like, I had to clean up and do things. And I'm just a little kid. And that's when I started to plan getting away. I planned on running. And I thought, I just checked everything. Sometimes she didn't watch me, and people say, well, why didn't you run then? I was a child. I'm a child, and I was scared, and she'd have me mowing the lawn and stuff, like 9 years old, pushing a lawnmower around a backyard. And that's when I started thinking, I can run. I can run. And I tried it. I waited till I was about 12, and then one day I just slipped out the gate and ran. And I didn't know where I was going to go to. I didn't know what I was going to do, but they had a reserve that was in that neighborhood, and I went and hid down there and didn't know what the hell I was going to do. I'm 12 years old, so by then I'd been abused hundreds of times, hundreds of times, probably more than 100 times. It'd have to be more than 100 times for 11 years. So I just want to get away. I just wanted to get away. And the police found me, brought me back, and then I'd do it again. And I was still being abused all the time through all of this. But she was so badly on drugs, like she popped pills, from what I believe, that I could outsmart her and get away.
Mm,
Do you know what I mean? Like, I
yeah.
knew I started to be old enough to work vulnerabilities that were around me of me getting away. But I'm still a child, so I'm still thinking like a child. So I'm like, what do I do? Where do I go? You know, I didn't know what to do. So they'd bring me back and I'd get punished. It did not stop. It didn't stop. It, even when I went back, when I went back, she punished, and she started sending me to the client that that I
You're cutting out again,
had
love.
to go with people like that. Oh my God. I don't know why. I'm right next to my modem.
You just feel
Tell me
robotic
when
a
I
little
do it.
bit. You're good now.
How, is it okay now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, I've skipped through it as in a faster way, but I encourage people to ask me questions because I will answer them. People have asked me, being drugged, do I feel that that was more humane or, better for me? I have to say no, because when you're drugged, you can't move, and that's a very scary thing, and can't
You're
move.
cutting out again
So
a little bit.
I don't.
What the hell's going on?
Oh my, I don't know why. So I don't know whether being drugged or not drugged really mattered at all. Because people think because I was drugged, it was easier for me. And I do not think that that's what happened at all. I don't feel it was easier because I was drugged at all. Um, because then you're drugged and you still know where you are. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you can't move. So you're they couldn't even get up. But as I got older, I'd wake up a little bit more and look around. But in the end, like I said, it was like 3 and 4 times a week. That happened till I was about 8, and a few satanic rituals that I seen that were friggin' horrible. The thing that still haunts me about it is the boys and the way the boys screamed. And I don't think I'm ever going to be okay after that, because I still wake up screaming because I hear them still to this day.
Yeah.
When I was 14, she did a really stupid thing. She popped some pills, and she fell asleep on the lounge, in the lounge room where I was. And even though there was cameras and stuff, I managed to run. This time I had money and I got on a bus because I was stealing money and hiding it. And I got on a bus and a train, and I went into the city of Sydney, and I joined all these homeless people and all this stuff, and I wrote a letter to my dad in jail saying that I'd ran away and I'm not going to go back, and that I was homeless on the street. And he went and told the police to find me, and they did. They came looking for me, and they found me in King's Cross, which Fairy Floss will know is a red light district, and it was full of criminals back then. But that's where I felt safe. It was in Fairy Floss knows King's Cross is the red light district of Sydney, and it's just filled with criminals, bikers. It's full, and they're the people that like really looked after me. And then I went with the police, and I was in police protection because they had to find the houses where they kept the children. And we ended up doing that, and they got 8 houses, which is still not enough. And people go, oh, you're a hero. It's still not enough, because those 8 houses are 8 houses of 8,000 other houses that they've got, and they're still doing this, you know. The police, I was able to get a lot of people busted, and I was in police protection until I was 18 years old, and then I chose to leave. I said to the police, I'm not living like this. I felt like a prisoner, and I'd already been a prisoner all my life, you know what I mean? So I asked the police, like, I need to go make a life for myself. And then I became a drug addict. So I got on drugs. I was drunk all the time. I was numb, trying to numb myself. So I admit I took any drug that would numb my mind, and alcohol, and that went on for years and years and years. I just abused myself badly, and the alcohol and drugs made me forget. And so I got deeper and deeper and deeper into drugs, but I also hooked up with drug dealers and all sorts of people. And, you know, instead of trying to make my life better, I made it worse for a long time. And then I got pregnant with my son when I was 20. And I guess that's when I decided that, no, that's enough. I got to change, you know. I don't have to do more. But like I said, 11 years is a long time, and there's a lot of things that happen, a lot of things that I've seen. But it would take me hours to explain it all. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be here all day. It's just too long. But I ended up getting 8 houses taken down. They went to trial. It took 3 years, and those people were all locked up, but they were just the handlers, and they weren't the perpetrators. Even though they were cruel, they were very, very, very cruel people. They're really not the ones that, yeah, no, they do belong in jail. But you know what I mean? Like, the people that actually sexually assaulted us did not get in any trouble. The only people that got in trouble were the people that were in the houses, the handlers that drove us here and there and everywhere. And they're the only people that went to jail. And I think the biggest sentence was like 12 years, 10, 12 years. And they got out. And the people that actually assaulted all of the children, and I'm talking hundreds of children, nothing happened, because they're the elites and wealthy, and nothing happened to them. The only people that went to jail are the people that were in the houses that were driving us here and there, and they deserve it. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah. This keeps booting me off. I don't know what the hell is going on.
They deserve. They found video tapes. I have copies of them in my cupboard. I won't watch them because they're VHS tapes, and you'd have to have that prehistoric machine you can get them converted. But I have 8 boxes of transcripts of court transcripts, and it's like 8, you know, the court boxes full, and some of the videotapes are in there because they were filming me and they were making videotapes. I don't know why or what that was about, maybe to sell them, but there was a lot of videotapes found of me and others being abused, and I've got some of them in my cupboard that I used to look through all the court transcripts and read everything. Because I was so young, I only learnt everything after the fact because I was still a little kid. So I had to grow up and be old enough to understand it. And I was going to put up some of the transcripts and just black out like people's names and stuff. I still think I might do that. I've been thinking about that for a couple of months, actually, about doing that, because somebody asked me to show receipts, and I do have receipts.